earlier this year in February, the Trump administration promised to release unredacted files. The FBI, when they raided Jeffrey Epstein's homes in 2018, they collected CD-ROMs, other recordings, binders, all these files that remain unreleased to this day. They're sitting in a warehouse, the FBI warehouse in Winchester, Virginia, and still, nothing's really been released. The documents that were supposedly released by the Trump administration were all previously released disclosures. There's nothing new there. But, my story takes a look at the other side of this, where the national media has not really paid attention. Many of the most important disclosures about Jeffrey Epstein's political network, how he's paid off politicians, particularly politicians in the U.S. Virgin Islands, but also some politicians in the U.S., in the territorial U.S., they were released very suddenly and briefly during a lawsuit in 2023 between J.P. Morgan and the Virgin Islands. Now, this sudden disclosure was kind of accidental because the U.S. Virgin Islands was hoping to win some settlement money from these crimes, a form of accountability after his death. And they really did not expect it. But J.P. Morgan hit back hard, and they countersued and alleged that the island officials were far more complicit in Jeffrey Epstein's criminal operations. And from those disclosures, we got hundreds of emails, depositions, and other documents showing how Jeffrey Epstein kind of methodically paid off local politicians, customs agents, various governors, and law enforcement agents to receive exemptions from the sex offender list in the Virgin Islands to travel back and forth as he was bringing young girls, ages between 12 and 15 to his island. Custom agents saw that and looked the other way. That they refused to check on their safety. There's really just a litany of red flags he was raising, and yet he was paying off politicians to allow him to continue his criminal enterprise. Now, this piece kind of looks at how the governor, Albert Bryan, closed that window of disclosure. He quickly settled the lawsuit. He fired the attorney general leading the J.P. Morgan lawsuit. He later replaced the attorney general with one of Epstein's own lawyers, who serves to this day in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And as he promised that this legal settlement money would be used to prevent another Epstein type criminal enterprise by using it to counter human trafficking, sex abuse, and that type of thing. Instead, it's being used as a piggy bank, and legislators there don't know exactly how the money's being spent. But for what we do know, it's going to backdated government wages. It's going to vendor payments. It's going to a series of earmarks, refurbishing various buildings in the Virgin Islands. There's very little transparency on how this money is being used, and it's an ultimate irony or perhaps an injustice that the governor who now controls these funds is almost $250 million of money was part and parcel to the Epstein enterprise. He was receiving regular donations, gifts from Epstein. He was the one responsible for giving Epstein special tax breaks, and then later pushing for his exemption from the sex offender list.